Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Sitch.
My name's James. It revolves around £50,000 for those who present the 3-for-1 Sky Fantasy Football Podcast.
Listeners, if you're on YouTube, just head over, just search 3-for-1. Just search 3-for-1 and watch that. And then, you might learn something. Whereas here, when we're sitting here with not ranks that have one digit in them, it's all good.
How's your last week been?
Good, I would say. I mean, any week with a green arrow, I'm making progress. So I went from 1,050 to 776.
Oh, that's nice.
83 points, James. And I had 10 players in total. Having said that, I did make a couple of transfers. Lewis Dunk didn't play, obviously, at the weekend. But I captained... who did I captain on Saturday? No, on Friday night, I captained Trippier. That was a bit of a disappointment, Pope and Trips, pulling out absolutely nothing. But there was no one that really returned, unless those that punted on Isak.
We spoke about a lot last week.
I don't know about a lot punted on him. It would have been if you really had a problem.
As I said this time last week, he was the one. If you hadn't gone on the previous Sunday, there was explanation to say, go again.
Yeah, but I don't think it was crazy. It didn't affect my rank at all much, to be honest with you. On the Saturday, I went with Kane. It was the safe option, really. I played the ownership on that one. So 14 points off Kane. And on Sunday, I went with Saka.
That was a touch.
Yeah, it was. I made 2 transfers on the weekend. I sold Rashford originally, and I bought Enzo Fernandez. I thought, you know what, he's my tick along, will do nicely.
5 points?
No, James. 7.
7, yeah.
He got a cheeky tackle tier. He got a tackle tier before he got his passing tier.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
So 7 points was decent for him. I made one other transfer as well. When I saw Saliba was out of the Arsenal team, I did a bit of Googling. It was his back. They don't know when he's going to return.
I did a bit of Googling.
It was...
Normally you just WhatsApp me.
Yeah, well, it's true, but I thought, you know what, let me see what the prognosis is. Now I messaged Clayton, to be honest with you. Many of the listeners will know Clayton, and now he's coming part of the Planet FPL team, and he's I'm going to ask Gooner questions to the Gooner. And he said it was unknown and he didn't know. So then my question was, it's a 2-game punt here. So I'm going to go with an attacking player for a 2-game punt. Martinelli or Trossard. And it was a toss-up between the two of them.
You went for Trossard, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I told you I went for Martinelli on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah, so I decided...
But no, actually, you WhatsApped me and told me you bought Zaha.
As a joke, yeah. I said, look, what's the likelihood? He said, look, Jesus is back. Martinelli... I'd seen the starting lineup, so I knew they were both in it. And over the 2 games...
You wanted for the Leeds
game.
He
said Martinelli... Clayton said Martinelli's more likely to get more minutes. Agreed. And there's a gap now for the Leeds game. So I went with Martinelli. And to get 8 points straight off the bat, made the transfer.
So your plan is to go, him back to Rashford when United play
Well, it
Newcastle?
might not be him specifically. I've got 5 Arsenal players. Zinchenko, Gabriel, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli. I need to come off all of them, really. So...
you don't.
No, I don't need to come off all of them, but I'm going to come off quite a lot of them. I've still got...
It's not quite as concrete as it was this time last week because Arsenal went out of the Europa League.
Sure, but regardless, I've got 3-for-1s over Arsenal with their game being Liverpool away for a lot. So I'm likely to want to come off. And Sunday, the 16th for West Ham is a good re-entry point if I wanted to. So I'll be coming off at least...
There'll be 2-for-0s over the majority of teams.
I'll be going off for Arsenal?
Yeah.
On the West Ham Southampton game.
Yeah, so Southampton's a lock on the Friday night now.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming off three of them for that 3-for-1s across a number of teams. I won't come off all of them. No. But when I look at it, who's the cheapest of the ones that I own? Well, Gabriel Martinelli is one of them actually, so he's the one that's likely to potentially stay for that period. But yeah, overall I'm happy. 83 points is decent. A rank rise is decent. I want to try and just keep inching 100 points in the 100 places in the leaderboard per week to get myself up to that top 100.
So you'll win it then?
Nah, until I get to the top 100. It gets harder and harder. So once I get up to 250, let's say, then it's 50 points.
How many transfers left?
22, 21.
Jesus.
21.
Okay. 21. I mean, it's great. It's great. It's not a criticism. It's great.
No, I'm in a good position.
I thought you'd probably dip below 20 now.
Nah, because I didn't burn 2 the week before to get McAllister and additional Brighton. So I've got a plan now. I need to come off the Arsenal boys after the Leeds game for a little bit. Newcastle is fine. I'm holding them through because they've got a decent fixtures. But obviously Pope has got an injury, or he hasn't. He's just out of the England squad for a little while. So they're going to stay. Lewis Dunk's going to stay for a little while. So he's all well and good. I haven't got any real reason to come off him. Ivan Toney will come out of my team as soon as he gets his next yellow card, which is going to be imminent. So as soon as he does, I'm cool with that. But even then, after the Brighton game, you've got Man United and Newcastle as the next 2. I've got places to come off from him. Fernandes staying. Fernandes at his price is staying for a little while. So next big kind of thing is re-entry into Manchester City and how I navigate that. And I think personally for that Southampton away, Leicester at home, I may disregard the fixture gain, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like Tony getting his 10th yellow, that Man United away game would be so good because then it's just like, let's just go straight to...
clear sell. Yeah, it'd be a difficult one probably until he does, because obviously they play Wednesday and Saturday afterwards. So you're probably saying, okay, right, then one more. Obviously, if you got booked against United, you've got your choice of whatever you want from the whole league. If it's the Saturday, you're looking at Sunday the 9th. Looks like a good entry, maybe even for Palace now, who have got obviously Roy Hodgson's back. So free-flowing football. No, that's put me off Zaha a little bit. He's possibly part of my plan that day now that Leeds Palace fixtures moved to Sunday the 9th, actually. They've got a good run of fixtures. With me in my rank, I might as well punt something, right?
Fair play. How was your week? Let's do that.
74 points for myself. That was with
Any transfers?
8 players. Yeah, I bought Maddison for Rodri on the Saturday, 4-point return for him. It was one I knew I wanted to get in either at this point or for the Villa game on Tuesday the 4th. So I decided to go early with it. I think Rodri, as amazing as he's been, was sacrificial for me, I thought. So I had no Dunk at the weekend, who I did captain last Wednesday for the 10-pointer against Palace. No Saliba, no Marcus Rashford. A decision on Rashford, again, fewer transfers for me. I've got 13 left. I knew I'd want him straight back, so it was just to suck it up and accept it, much like I did with Kieran Trippier recently. With Saliba, the obvious thing to do was to sell, like you did, Suj. I got 6.5 million in the bank. And I'm thinking, what am I doing with that money with Saliba's injured? Who do I want to get from Arsenal today? Is kind of the question marks. I didn't want to sell him, even if he was going to miss a week or two. I'm thinking he was the one, because of his value, thinking, I keep through. By the time Sunday come around, it looked like it might be a number of weeks. Now, even if it's just the Leeds game as well, I would maybe end up holding on to him. However, with that money in the bank and set up in a 4-4-2, I go straight to Haaland when he plays Liverpool.
Do you want to go early?
Yeah, it just makes complete sense to me if he's still out.
Yeah. With your transfer account, I think so.
Just get him back in.
What have you done to like 14, 15?
13 down to him now. So, yeah, that's the plan for me at the moment. Obviously, Haaland and Rashford both respectively are pulled out of international duty, but I don't think we should have too many concerns about that. The other beauty with the Haaland-Liverpool game is it is the 12:30 on Saturday the 1st, so obviously put the brakes on if he wasn't in the team. I would maybe actually instead just go straight for Salah, possibly even. Because I do have the intention, as I said, sort of around, well, I say around, but basically on Monday the 17th when Liverpool go to Leeds, which is obviously now a confirmed fixture on that Monday night, is to try and get as much Liverpool as I can. And I do have an idea of getting Alisson, Konate, Van Dijk, Salah and Núñez just for my stupidity, just to do something different for the run-in. I think Liverpool will be very popular when that fixture comes round. So I'm intending to keep my powder a little bit dry. It's playing Haaland for Saliba. Zaha, as I said, I'm very interested in, actually. We should also be conscious of the potential addition of the Newcastle-Brighton fixture. Probably, I think, Thursday the 20th is probably the most likely date. That's the day before Arsenal play Southampton. The TV fixtures for match day 35, which is the first full weekend in May, also the weekend of the King's coronation. The scheduled TV picks for that are tomorrow. I think with that, we'll get the addition of the midweek fixtures in between. I think we can probably anticipate Liverpool, Fulham, City, West Ham and Brighton, Manchester United as 3 additional fixtures to be played across Wednesday the 3rd and Thursday the 4th. I can't foresee how there'll be a game on Tuesday the 2nd unless they move something else. Obviously, there's some things that have now locked in with the European results last week. As we said, obviously, Arsenal going out now means that fixture against Southampton on the 21st, Friday the 21st, will now remain as a single game day. There is a minor knock-on the fact that West Ham have gone through. That's moved a few fixtures. So West Ham Bournemouth is now Sunday the 23rd. That means Southampton Bournemouth is now Thursday the 27th. And it means Bournemouth Leeds is Sunday the 30th. More relevant, I think, perhaps, is obviously the draw for the Champions League, which has meant a movement of a few fixtures. So the 2 City entry points for Haaland, Sunday the 9th and Sunday the 16th, are gone. They're going to play on the Saturday at 5:30 on both of those game weeks now. So it's Southampton on the 8th, Leicester the 15th. That means Leeds Crystal Palace takes the place of the 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday the 9th of April. And Nottingham Forest and Manchester United will now be the 4:30 p.m. kickoff on Sunday the 16th. And of course, obviously, because of the FA Cup results, that weekend of Saturday 22nd, Sunday 23rd, we've obviously lost the Manchester United-Chelsea games and the Brighton-Manchester City games, which is the 2 games that we obviously expected to lose. Interestingly, I think that makes Saturday the 22nd absolute clear as day, Liverpool at home to Nottingham Forest for captaincy, which just adds into the idea of buying them on Monday the 17th. And Sunday the 23rd now is going to have Bournemouth versus West Ham and Newcastle versus Tottenham. I'd imagine there's no stress, Trippier, Harry Kane, but in factoring your plans, you probably want to keep hold of one of them. Because I think if it wasn't, as it's essentially a single game day from a Sky perspective, unless we're going to have interest in West Ham, which is probably doubtful with Arsenal the weekend before.
Yeah.
It's effectively a single game day, and there'd have been every case, I think, to probably, after Saturday the 15th, be selling the likes of Trippier, Kane for Liverpool assets Monday the 17th, or even back into United or Arsenal on Sunday the 16th. But you're going to want to probably keep one of them. Not that you can't hokey-cokey it. It's worth saying Tottenham's fixtures from that Sunday the 23rd, it's Newcastle United, Liverpool in a row. We don't know who's going to be in charge of the team at the moment. Time of recording, timestamp it's Sudge, we're nearly 12 o'clock. And Newcastle, there's a case to say, begin to come off. But after the Tottenham fixture, it's Everton away, Southampton at home as the next 2 fixtures, which are decent. So currently my strategy would be probably bin Kane after Tottenham play Bournemouth Saturday the 15th, where it's a competitive captaincy option with Haaland now on that day, and probably keep Trippier as part of my plan. Interesting.
There are not huge number. The teams that I'm looking at the moment, James, to go to from Arsenal and some of the players is Villa. On the 4th, I think Leicester, Forest, Newcastle, 2 home games there might be one to go to. Leeds, Forest at home, Palace at home, Liverpool at home, 3 home fixtures. This is like if I really wanted to punt Rodrigo or something like that to really get a fixture game.
Fulham probably without Mitrovic, Leicester, Bournemouth after that as well. But I don't know where you'd want to go to with Leeds.
Maybe Rodrigo. He was decent in this game, but I'm just looking at that as maybe one to look at.
Yeah, possibly.
Man United and Newcastle, I think both on Sunday the 2nd you can go to. I think Newcastle got a reasonable stack of fixtures, and so have Man United up to Forest away. I think they're both viable. I think West Ham, Southampton at home, I think if you're going in for 3 games and you just want to punt a Benrahma, I think is viable.
It's definitely a case for the likes of Benrahma, Bruno Fernandes. You go in Sunday the 2nd and come straight back out Sunday the 9th,
Yeah, and then I also think Tottenham, Everton, that Everton game, I mean, if you've got Kane, cool, but if you wanted to get fixture gain and maybe look at Romero for... No, he's out.
No, just fuck Tottenham.
No, but I mean, it's real dip in, dip out. Like I got no love for the move, but it might pick me up some points, right? If I get a passing tier and a clean sheet out of
I mean,
Bournemouth and Everton. It's the Bournemouth-Everton. You're going to get battered.
I would much rather, honestly, that you probably went and gambled Ben Rama as a differential Sunday the 2nd and added Tottenham on Monday the 3rd. Kane is going to be clear captaincy. He's the most owned player in the top 1,000 at the moment. Most will keep him to that Bournemouth fixture and move him on after that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 or 6 teams that I'm looking at. The others are just not of interest in the next 3 or 4 weeks to go into in the next game week.
No, I think, City might have opened up. I think City's one because there's no entry repoint now, if you will, for those 3 fixtures, Liverpool, Southampton, Leicester. Any injury over this international break,
they're the ones you can go to.
You consider going into them there, I think, as it works for me. United, West Ham, we've mentioned Sunday the 2nd. I think perhaps not quite so much Newcastle, Serge, because I think most people got a little bit of Trippier. Isak maybe.
Isak is the one.
What price is decent price? 9-1 or something?
I'll double check for you.
He's decent price. So maybe sure Newcastle. Tottenham, as I said, you're obviously going to want coverage for Monday the 3rd. I mean, what would you do if Kane got injured over this international break with that?
Ooh, Haaland. 8.1, James. Isak.
Wow.
Which is cheap.
No, I'm just thinking what I'd do for Monday the 3rd if Kane wasn't fit for any reason. I'd arguably skip it, me personally. With transfers in the bank for someone like you, sure, consider a Romero or a Son or an Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
Hugo Lloris is back in training, by the way. It's not to say he'll come immediately back in, but if you were thinking 4-star, I definitely wouldn't go there, for example. Tuesday the 4th, I think you can enter in Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, Leicester, Villa. All fairly reasonable to go and get at that point if you wish to do so. The Wednesday is probably no entry really, Wednesday the 5th, because you've got United, West Ham, Newcastle all playing that night, so you would buy on the Sunday rather than the Wednesday.
Agreed.
Unless you pick up an injury on the Tuesday the 4th, there'd be no real reason to. I think Sunday the 9th, Palace Leeds, we've mentioned. I think people might turn their noses up at it, but both have really good run of fixtures afterwards, actually. And it's interesting, someone like Rodrigo might actually come with as part of a kind of big influx of Liverpool players for me to enable some of it. It'd be very tight financially. For me to get those 5 Liverpool players that I said, I basically have to end up in a 4-5-1.
Right.
To make it happen, and it'll be tight. So, and then obviously Arsenal as well. You can make the case if you go back in Sunday the 9th. If you come off Saturday the 1st, you've got 3 for 1, or you wait the extra week, might make a little bit more sense, and you take West Ham arguable captaincy and Southampton definite captaincy. Certainly one player that day anyway on Friday the 21st. I'm going to talk to you about ownership, Serge.
Yeah, let's do it. There's nothing else we need to cover off on fixtures, is there, with European?
Not particularly. There'll be more that's going to come out tomorrow. I mean, the thing that will be particularly handy for me, I think, that following weekend, and again, it is going to be a little bit dependent on City's Champions League involvement as well, so it could still move. But if I could get hold of, for example, Liverpool versus Brentford on Friday the 5th, the only thing is it will push a lot of other people into a large amount of Liverpool players, then begin to move on to City for the final stretch, I think. Yeah, I'm going to talk about ownership in the top 1,000 because this looks very different to it has done for the majority of this season. Do you know what Haaland's ownership in the top 1,000 is, Serge, with no cheating?
Top 1,000. I'm going to go at 45%.
It's less.
Oh, wow.
It's 39.9% at last look from ffstuff.co.uk. And some of the names who are really highly owned shouldn't surprise because they've had fixtures, but it does mean that there's a lot of ownership. Obviously, sales have happened recently. So Kane is most now, 96.5%. So again, Monday the 3rd.
That's single
stick
game
your
day.
Captaincy on and forget about it. Saka's second most owned. Ivan Toney. And I think Tony's obviously, when he gets booked, he's going to get sold en masse, obviously. Zinchenko is the 4th most owned player in the top 1,000 now, 77%. That's just ahead of Kieran Trippier, who I think is going to be a solid keep for most people. Saliba's still in 69% of teams in the top 1,000. So I think there's waiting for information. And again, if it looks like he's only going to miss the Leeds game, there's every case to say still keep it. However, it's worth saying Arsenal's fixtures, Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, before the final 2 against Nottingham Forest and Wolves. It is a tough run of fixtures. David Raya's in 60% of teams at the moment. So Rashford's still in 2/3. I guess most with Rashford will go back on Sunday the 2nd. So you have to factor in that a lot of people are going to make a transfer then. Odegaard's still in half the teams. Enzo Fernandez now up to 44% in the top 1,000. Ollie Watkins, similar number. Is that the one you'd be looking for from Villa? I guess
without doubt.
Probably would be. Yeah, I got him a couple of weeks ago. Gabriel is in 40% of teams. Then Haaland. Got Martinelli just below that. Lewis Dunk is in a third of teams. And Mo Salah's in 30% of teams. So you take someone like Rodri, it just drops off the face there completely.
But he was never that high anyway.
No, but I think
he peaked at like 15%.
People like me who did have probably got rid. Well, I just don't know why it was that low.
It was crazy. Like him, when he picked up assists, I'm reasonably good at tracking what's going on if I've got players in games. And whenever he picked up a return, my rank jump was always bigger than I thought. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
an assist from Rodri, and I've gone up like 300 places. What? But yeah, well on radar to get him back as soon as I can.
This is a real core of obviously Arsenal stuff there, and we've obviously spoken about the idea of selling them en masse basically after Saturday the 1st. Now, the fact that Southampton game now remains on the Friday means you want to keep something in your mind. But I think a lot of us looking at this are going to have sort of 3 or 4 at the moment, and then there's a decision to make. My decision will probably come down to, do I keep Zinchenko from a value perspective? And obviously Saka. Saka's a harder sell after what he did last week. But it might be that it's the right idea to move it on, possibly. I don't want to waste selling and then buy back Sunday the 16th to sell again after Friday 21st. I think I want to keep something and just leave it in there. But the rest can probably go. And to be honest, the most ideal one for me would be if Saliba's fit, arguably he's the one to keep. But then I'm not getting Haaland back. And I look at that Haaland ownership and I think, what an opportunity. Rare.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Because Haaland's ownership is not going to jump back up to 80-90% for that fixture. It's not going to. And because it's Saturdays afterwards as well, I don't think it is again.
And then they've got the blank. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, Southampton, Leicester, yes. But then there's a big gap until Arsenal at home and then Fulham away. So that period from when they've got Leicester at home, there's teams that play 3 times before they play again. And it's Arsenal at home, so you can pick up 3-for-1s. So you're going to dip in. I'm not sure if I want to dip in for just 2 games. Southampton away, Leicester at home. Is it enough to dip back into?
We've said there's competitiveness, and there is all 3 days, and they're all different options. So Saturday the 1st, I think Arsenal players obviously at home to Leeds. Saturday the 8th, you've got United at home to Everton, and you see the team. And Saturday the 15th, you've got Kane at home to Bournemouth. So there is competitiveness. If you take Saka, Rashford, Kane as 3 examples who have very decent ownership, it's highly likely those 3 players for those 3 particular days are going to have bigger ownership than Haaland. And it creates an interesting narrative that we've not had in this game all season. So for me now, if I go and get him back over this break, Saturday the 1st, I'll captain Haaland against Liverpool, I think. It's such a rare opportunity where there's the potential to make mass gain out of him. And for me, again, Saturday the 8th, I'd captain him. And Saturday the 15th, I'd captain him. But it's interesting that's as much because I think his ownership is not going to be as high as it
zooming
would
back
be
to after the Liverpool game, and I look at it, and this is like Liverpool over Man City over that period is a 4-for-2 with captaincy in there as well. Do I just ride it out with Salah rather than worry about going to get Haaland and stuff? It's one of those that could massively affect me. Having said that, 2 weeks ago when Liverpool kicked off at United 7, I didn't have Salah. I didn't captain him. It doubled my rank. But within 2 weeks, I'm back to better than I was before that game. So if Haaland damages me in that Southampton or Leicester games, is it going to be how brutal is that damage going to be? He's the one player that can bury you.
If he gets as many goals as he got since the last time we did a Sky Pod, then he's going to bury you, isn't it?
Completely.
The chances are he won't.
No.
I think it's one where it's... My general advice to most people would be, look, I think you can be competitive against it. Go against it, I think, because there's every case to say after Leicester again, Saturday the 15th, you sell. And I think there's competitive captaincies. For me, the opportunity's opened up where I've got a formation structure of 4-4-2. I've got 6.5 million in the bank. I know that most other people can't go there. I should. And I'm miles behind. And very rarely, he looks like he's going to be of a differential level. I don't believe most people are structuring in to buy him back on Saturday the 1st. Because from a value perspective, those who don't have the money in the bank, what are you going back to? Salah's got an extra fixture Tuesday the 4th. Kane you obviously want for the captaincy on Monday the 3rd. People will be planning to go back into Rashford the next day on Sunday the 2nd. Might be a case that you go a day earlier to open up some money. But the other real big hitters are not sellable to put Haaland back in, really.
No, I think if... Tony getting booked kind of takes the decision out of my hands. That's what I'd love. If he got booked in the Man United game, then that decision's taken out of my hands and it makes it quite easy.
I think that's one, it would be against kind of Sky principles of additional transfers. But if you had the money in the bank to go from Tony to Haaland, and I'm sure there will be people with money in the bank, no, on the 1st. I'd consider it. It's against the principles of additional fixtures and stuff. But do you want... Let's say Tony doesn't get booked over that period. Do you want Tony, Brighton away, United away, Newcastle at home, Wolves away, all those 3 Haaland fixtures?
Wow. Haaland doesn't...
You ain't captain Tony in any of them 4 either.
No. Yeah, I get that. It's an interesting one, but I also need to save some transfers in the next game week to come off...
You don't need to save shit.
No, but if I want to come off 5 Arsenal players, I can only make 5 in a week. So I want to make 5 in that game week.
How much money you got in the bank?
And you talk about money in the bank. I think everybody has shitloads in the bank. 6.5.
Okay, so maybe more people will do it than I think then.
I think a lot of people have money in the bank, James.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't have to have got enough or are structurally set up correctly.
Well, yeah, I'm a 4-4-2 as well.
You've moved Saliba, right, already?
Yes, I did to Martinelli.
You could bin a Gabriel for a Haaland. It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
I'd think about it.
Well, yeah, let's have a look and see. What are your thoughts on... What are the takeaways from the weekend in terms of tier points? Are there anything that you've pulled out that you thought, oh, this is worth keeping an eye on?
No, not hugely. I'll just take you over
get into a few Twitter
those
questions.
who scored well at the weekend. Brennan Johnson, another shot tier at the weekend, was in the team, obviously, Friday night. As Mark Subbins confirmed to us on Clash of Correspondence yesterday, basically with Nottingham Forest players, if they've got a chance, they'll play. Basically, is what he's saying. Isak with a shot tier as well. Sven Botman, 63 completed passes, was the only one who got in a tier for passing. That didn't include his brilliant pass to Emmanuel Dennis. Mings and Konsa, tier 1 passing against Bournemouth. Matty Cash with 6 tackles. Ollie Watkins, another 3 shots on target. Returned higher than Kane at the weekend because of shot tier 2, actually. Another 6 saves for Neto. Might be an interesting filler one for goalkeepers, actually, with if suddenly you come out this break with a problem. Just on that as well, apparently Fabianski's better than expected is what I've heard this morning, Suj.
Right.
If people are thinking about,
Areola.
Probably not in this format for Areola, but yeah, I'd be conscious of that. Nothing in the Brentford-Leicester game other than tackles for Hickey and our old friend Christian Norgard. Southampton's 2 midfield players, because they're better than Tottenham's 2 midfield players, hit passing tier against Tottenham. Lavia and Ward-Prowse. JWP obviously with shot tier as well. Those who went on for the 3 fixtures, probably not too disappointed with the United's Brentford-Tottenham game. There was a case to do that and then chain it onto an Arsenal player. Those will be pleased with that. Nothing much to highlight from a Tottenham perspective. Wolves Leeds. There was passing for Kilman and Lamina, shot tiers for Podence and Jimenez, Ayling the only outfield player with tackles for Leeds. Interestingly, he only completed 8 passes in his 90 minutes, Luke Ayling, which takes some doing from the fullback
that's
position.
Erling Haaland levels.
Well, if I said Ben Godfrey got 8 at Chelsea, that seems to make a bit more sense than Luke Ayling at Wolves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fernandes, as said, passing and tackles again. Kai Havertz 4 shots on target. He'd be an interesting one, maybe. People want to punt a differential, got a problem. And for Arsenal against Palace, there was passing tiers for Gabriel, Rob Holding, who I captained in the Manager of the Month at the end. I think I finished 83rd, nowhere near it. Big congrats to Owen Jones, who won it.
Yes.
Saka with shots on target, Xhaka with tackles, Zaha, interestingly, shots on target. And as discussed on Bundy's pod, it was pretty unfortunate not to score, actually.
Yeah.
That run of fixtures they have, with a clear entry point against Leeds now. Do you know what? If I cared about this season, I wouldn't do it, but I might, Such.
He hasn't got any tiering or any points since the 6th of November when they played West Ham.
But he got shots here on the weekend.
No, that's the first time since the 6th of November.
Yeah, but look at the fixtures they've had and look at the fixtures they've got left. I'd be more comfortable doing it if Vieira was still in charge, it's worth saying. But Hodgson's pragmatism might even open up space for him on the counter-attack that perhaps wouldn't have happened if Patrick Vieira was still in charge. So I think we can spin that narrative either way. Leeds, Southampton, Everton, Wolves, West Ham, Tottenham, Bournemouth, Fulham, Nottingham Forest is what Crystal Palace finished with from that entry point against Leeds. Yeah, I'm very interested. Very interested in Wilfried Zaha, actually. Is he 8.5? It's a reasonable price.
I'm disgusted that you're even making me have a look.
Sorry, Suj. But
8.5 and 0.5% of the top 1,000.
He's the other thing that he would do in terms of Sunday the 9th as well. We've spoken about Tuesday the 25th being a little bit of an issue. You've got Villa Fulham, you've got Leeds Leicester, and you've got Wolves Palace. He would cover it as well. It's not ideal Wolves away, but if you're thinking, I need to get a Maddison or a Watkins to cover that specifically, the Zaha entry point arguably makes more sense. And then with Leicester, you'd wait for the Monday night game, perhaps against May the 1st. On May the 1st. I've already got Maddison, so less of an issue. Not that I can guarantee he'll stay fit for that long. But having Zaha would give me another option for that night.
Every time James tries to sell me Wilfried Zaha...
When have I ever tried to sell you Wilfried Zaha?
It's like, Zaha. It's like, but the fixtures. Like, he's like a drug dealer or like an insurance salesman all rolled into one trying to be like, but it's the fixtures.
Let me look down the camera
Zaha's
and say
right.
Like this, right? If you're being very serious about your Sky Fantasy football season, don't buy Wilfried Zaha. There you go.
There we go. Right. Whenever his name gets mentioned, I'm like,
I might just do it.
But it's like, yeah, we don't want to buy Zaha. But you might want to.
In 2 weeks' time, we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about him again. Guarantee it.
You'll talk. I won't listen.
Okay, fine.
Right, we're going to get into some of the questions that we had in on Twitter, James. We're going to start with Darren Auto-Reclose. And he's not really sent a question. He's just requested that we slap him in the face because he says, when's the best week to bench boost? With an emoji. That's a wink.
I know Darren, so
Darren.
I know he's on the wind-up. It's fine.
Indeed.
Game week 29, by the way, for most.
Babe says, why do you think you have used so many transfers this season, James?
Because I keep pressing the confirm button.
You went early pre-World Cup, right, to try and really get yourself ahead a little bit. And there were gains to be had. They just didn't play out, did they?
Listen, what I went heavy on with Man City particularly, that's where I used my most. Was fixing the City problem as well. Yes, I went in earlier pre-World Cup. There's a few issues that we all had that I had to deal with and stuff. But the big gamble heavy on Man City obviously didn't work. And as I said at the time, Newcastle were killing me. Every week.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Paul McAnulty has sent a question in, and based on his current rank, just so you know, Paul, we're now charging £100 plus VAT per question.
I'll tell you what.
We'll take it on credit till the end of the season because that's when the check comes.
I'll bet money Paul won't buy Zaha on Sunday the night. I bet money on it.
No. But yeah, £100 plus VAT per question, yeah. We'll take it on deferment.
Okay, cool.
What would you guess Haaland's top 1K ownership to be come kickoff on the 1st, provided he's fit and starts? Obviously, 39.3 is what Paul mentions in his question. So yeah, it's a luxury transfer for a lot of people. I don't know how many will have an injury to deal with or worry about. And let's take that out of the question. So let's just say Kane got injured for England. I think that would really skew how many go to Haaland on that day, for example.
Everybody would.
Well, yeah. So let's take that out of the equation. Something random happening. I think the highest it'd get to is 50-55. I don't see more than it getting to 50-55.
Maybe I've underestimated it a bit with the amount of... It'd be interesting to hear from people in terms of response, like how much do you have in the bank and do people intend to do it or not? Be quite interesting. And obviously what we don't know since we last spoke is, has the movement of the Southampton-Leicester games to the 8th and 15th respectively negated that where people have been thinking, I'll go on for one of them, I've gone back at it now and gone, there's no entry.
I'll go early. Oh, so I may
I've
as well
just got to
go.
do it.
Yeah.
And with him, because of the power, there's the case. But again, I think, generally speaking, I probably wouldn't do it. But I think there are players like Tony. I think with Tony, if you probably don't do it and then he misses the 2 games through suspension, you're probably a bit sick. So I think he'd be one and his ownership is massive, where if people got the money in the bank, it's arguably a strong consider. Brighton assets, even if you had the money in the bank, because the extra game Tuesday the 4th, which is very appealing, and possible extra fixture against Newcastle, said maybe Thursday the 20th of April, that would be a no-sell for them. Who would you actually move on here? There won't be much ownership in Liverpool. Arsenal players will be difficult to sell on that day.
Because of Leeds.
Because of
the
Leeds' opponent. Kane has said. So it probably is people like Tony who probably open it up to say, do you want to consider it? Otherwise, aren't many others. Like I wouldn't move, with Watkins having Leicester and Forest afterwards, I wouldn't move Watkins to Haaland. Tony, I think I could make a bigger case for.
Yeah. Addy says, with so many teams having something to play for, are there any talisman you think would make a good differential?
Say it.
No.
James Maddison.
Okay, that's better. That's fine. I wasn't going to say his name.
James Maddison from Tuesday the 4th of April. Wilfried Zaha from Sunday the 9th.
Ben Ramo, Bowen, if you wanted a cheeky little bit. But the thing is, when you say something to play for, I think actually the Conference League's going to...
I think as well, Maddison and Zaha are clear talisman for their teams, whereas West Ham, you could gamble Ben Rama or Bowen and the other one goes off, or Danny Ings goes off.
Yeah.
It feels a bit more like that. I think
Madison's a difficult one for me.
I think
because I want to buy Maddison, but I don't want to buy Leicester.
There's a case to put Isak in that conversation now, I think.
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson, another one maybe.
I don't want to buy Forest.
No,
I want to buy Maddison, but I don't want to buy Leicester. Do you know what I mean? It's the team shit. He's all right. So I'm like, just skip it because the team's not going to help him. So
no, but he might help the team.
Yeah, and Watkins, right? He's become clearly talisman now.
That run of fixtures, bar the City game on Saturday the 15th, is a super run.
For Leicester?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but they keep losing.
No, but there's certain teams down there at the moment, like Everton, Southampton and Forest, I think for the remainder of the season have rough fixtures. Now, I think from those 3 teams, other than probably Ward-Prowse and Brennan Johnson, there's probably nothing to discuss. But other teams down there like Palace, Leeds, Leicester, I think have really good runs till the end. And they do have something to play for, right? Mm-hmm. You could look at a Villa at the moment and say if Villa have bad results against Chelsea and Leicester, say they did lose twice.
Europe's out of the question now.
The season's over from a competitive standpoint. Now, if they do well in them, they might think, well, maybe 7th is still achievable, maybe, and they are on a great run. But that would perhaps take away from some of the appeal on Ollie Watkins, for example, if they maybe go into beach mode. At the moment, normally we get to this point of the season, we start asking who's in beach mode. I don't think there's anybody in this league at the moment we could truly throw that at. Maybe a case to say it about Fulham, possibly, with what's happened over the weekend, and Mitrovic probably being out for a while over a good run of fixtures maybe makes you think, oh, they've had a great season. They might be one of the earliest to hit it. Villa, I don't think are there yet. But it's probably the likes of Fulham, Brentford, Villa.
When's Palhinho available again?
He's available, mate.
Oh, he's done his 3 games, has he?
Okay. And there's a case to say that he could still be. I mean, would you consider that, for example? Get Paulinho back in now to help facilitate get Haaland. It's unconventional play, but would you consider it?
I think some should, but I wouldn't.
Just add as well, though, on Paulinho, that if he hits 15 bookings, it's another ban incoming at some point. I'd probably prefer at the moment, rather than that people went on Tuesday the 4th for a Brighton.
Okay.
Solly March 6.9, I mean Matoma's 7.2, McAllister 7.4, and you just find the less chance of tearing and stuff, but you just went in for that with the additional fixtures would make more sense. I actually at this stage I'd probably rather you bought Solly March than Paulinho. But let's put it that way.
Sam Betts, last question of the show, James. I'm currently 482nd with 18 transfers left.
Nice.
And looking to get my first ever top 100 finish. Is this possible by playing it fairly safe, or will I need to start taking risks soon? So I think 18 transfers at 482nd, you've probably got at least 6 or 7 more than the average ahead of you. I think 12, maybe 10 to 12 is what the average has. So you're going to overtake some if you get good fixture gains. So by playing it fairly safe, yes. And I also think you're just as likely if you go risky to drop back 200 places as you are to gain 200 places. I think the closer you get to the top, the happier you've got to be with small gains. Because like right now, if I jump 100 places, that's different to if I'm 200 and I jump 100 places. It's much harder to go up week by week. So just inch away.
You'll have that one weekend as well where you, oh my God, I got 90, for example. You like haven't moved.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
The closer you stay to the template, more.
I'm just blown away with how quickly after the Salah debacle against Man United, I've gone straight. I was 1,700 and I'm back up to 770, and I've only made 5 transfers in that time.
I think
period.
we've got to consider that there's people up there as well. Like I've had a bit of a jump this week without a great score. There were people who are
falling away now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly that. So be patient and keep your powder dry. I would also tune in next week to Planet SkyFF.
Because you ain't here.
Exactly that. And someone better than me, and that's not me saying it, it's other people's opinions as well, is coming to join you.
Luke Williams told me that, and
exactly.
And we believe him.
And he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Noel Murphy is joining me on the podcast next week, one of the best Sky fantasy football managers around.
Nice.
Which would be a nice one to do during the international break, because I think Niall's historical record in Sky is extremely good.
Yes, consistency is really, really important. So yes, Niall will be joining James next week while I am away. So make sure you stay tuned for that wherever you're listening to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Send in your questions on Twitter when James puts the tweet out for that. But make sure you're subscribed. If you want to support the show, join our Slack, get access to James's incredible Excel spreadsheet.
Which I anticipate will be getting another update tomorrow night.
Well, I hope it's going to get another update tomorrow night, because I hope they stick to what they're going to say and announce the TV fixtures.
I think it will be tomorrow.
But also we need next week's as well would be helpful, because there's another announcement due next Thursday as well, isn't there?
That's right. That's for the match day 36, the penultimate weekend. What do you call that?
The penultimate game. If you want access to the spreadsheet, it really helps map out the season and shows the gaps between the Sky fixtures. You just need to join at the £3 tier level, patreon.com/Planet FPL. Anything else, James?
I was going to say play it your way, but don't do anything.
Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Have a great week, everyone. Cue music, please, man, shoulder.